Everybody. All right, we're getting all dialed in here on all our channels. We got getting TikTok dialed in, getting Instagram dialed in. Here we go. Awesome. All right. How's it going? Hope everybody's doing so well. I'm pumped because, well, one, I just got done a little while ago working out in the Peloton. Man, always feels so freaking good to move your body, to exercise, to get those endorphins going, get the dopamine machine pumping. So today, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited. I'm going to be sharing some stories with you today about my recent adventure. So I was up in Boise, Idaho, just this past week for the Equip Prepare for Purpose conference. And it was such a good time, man. I was so blessed to be up there with just a killer team of speakers, a couple New York Times best-selling authors. One woman was up there speaking who, man, she is killing it, just absolutely killing it in her business. And she spoke from the stage for the very first time. And it looked like she had been up there 100 times before. She was so nervous and she just destroyed it. She was amazing. So it was so good. My friend Lisa Bingley brought us all up there. Again, the conference was Equip, Prepare for Purpose. So amazing. So what I want to talk to you about today is I just want to get real about what it can be like, even as you're on the path to unlocking your true potential with ADHD, even as you're on the path to managing everything that comes with this brain. Even as you're on that path, maybe you're taking steps forward, right? You're getting some routines in place. You're getting some best practices dialed in. Maybe you're starting to get more sleep than you ever have before, right? Maybe you're just starting to exercise. You're starting to walk, right? You're starting to move your body, right? You're starting to stack the wins, even in a season where you are feeling awesome. You're like, man, I am stringing more wins together than I have in a long time. And yet you can still be completely stressed and overwhelmed and feeling like it's like a paradox, right? You're making progress, you're making momentum, and yet you're still also struggling. Well, that was me this past week. So before I actually got up to Boise, Idaho for this conference where I was the MC and I was one of the featured speakers, I had known that I was doing this conference for months. I've known since October of this past fall. And if you have ADHD, you know how this goes. You can find out about some big commitment, a big project, responsibility, a thing at work. You're excited about it. You're excited to rise up, to kill it. And yet you put it off. You procrastinate. Your ADHD brain prioritizes all sorts of other things that are more pressing, right? Other things that are more interesting. Your ADHD brain is maybe prioritizing all the other pressures and commitments that you've also been putting off, whose deadlines are quickly approaching. Well, that happened to me. Even though I told myself, oh, not this time. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not going to wait until the last minute. I got 6 months. Oh man, like I'm just going to be so dialed when I get there. And yet, 3 months out from the conference, still hadn't hardly done any work on my talk, preparing for it. 2 months out, still nothing. 1 month out, still nothing. A few weeks before the conference, I started like feeling the stress. I'm like, okay, like, let me get dialed in. Like, let me figure this out. 1 week before the conference, I've not made a whole lot of progress at that point in actually preparing. I mean, I had thought a lot about my talk, but it just felt like I was stuck in mud. Like, even if you give yourself all this time to think about or ideate or brainstorm, do you ever have those moments where you just feel like your brain's it's not connecting dots? You're not feeling the inspiration. You're not getting the breakthroughs and the insights. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating, right? And then all of a sudden, like, we're talking 72 hours before I'm supposed to get on a plane and go to the conference in Boise, Idaho, then things start happening. The insights start coming to me. The breakthroughs start happening. I am stressed out. I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, like I had shared, a few weeks back, I was feeling all the same things. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to blow it. I'm going to totally blow this. And I can't blow this. This is a big moment. This is a big moment. I mean, my friend Lisa literally had the same video crew that Tony Robbins uses at his events, recording this entire conference. What an amazing opportunity, right? For my business to have a recording of my talk and to be able to share that with those that I'm serving and to support and help. What an amazing opportunity. And yet 72 hours out, I still felt totally lost. Like, I was barely getting my bearings underneath me. Have you ever had that moment? Right? Where you're like, why couldn't my brain start hyper-focusing on this 3 months ago, 6 months ago? Why is it that it always seems to happen that when things are down to the wire, that's when your ADHD brain goes online? That's when your ADHD brain all of a sudden starts connecting the dots. You start, like, really figuring things out, and you're like, oh man, this is so good, this is so good. Yet, oh my gosh, it's approaching. I barely have enough time. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if this is actually going to work out. So you're so excited and you're so frustrated. You know what I'm talking about if you have ADHD. You do. You do. I know you're resonating. Put it in the comments. Put it in the chat. If you're like, yes, I've been there. Yes, that just happened to me. Put it in there. What was your thing? When were you feeling like this most recently? So we're now 48 hours out before I head out to this conference. And I don't think I mentioned this yet. My wife is out of town. She's not in town. I am currently single dad with my daughter, Georgia. So I'm trying to be a decent dad, a decent father. I want to spend time with my adorable daughter. And yet I also really need to prepare for this talk. And I'm way behind and I can feel it. It was not a great feeling situation. So I'm feeling the stress 48 hours out, but I'm really starting to connect the dots. I'm really starting to actually, like, things are starting to come together. I'm starting to feel more and more confident about my talk. And now I'm going to bed. This is on Thursday or Friday. And I left Sunday. I'm going to sleep. I'm about to go to sleep. And my friend Grant calls me. Grant hits me up, and Grant is amazing. He's super accomplished speaker and coach and high performance trainer. He's incredible. And he calls me out of the blue. I pick up the phone. And he gave me the greatest gift because he is one of the speakers at this event. So he starts asking me, he's like, hey, Russ, how you feeling about your talk? Come on, man, how you feeling about it? So I start sharing with him. He's like, which part of your talk are you most confident about? I wasn't feeling confident about hardly any of it. But thanks to Grant's leading question, it got me to just assume, okay, Ross, if you were confident about one part of your talk, what would that be? So I started sharing it with him. I started telling him, Grant, I'm most confident about the fact that my talk is structured in a story, teaching point, story, teaching point, story, teaching point format. So it was like 80% entertainment, 20% teaching. And my VA, who I have talked about in recent lives, had also given me that advice and that insight that due to the event and where I was on day 2 and speaking from the main stage, that's how I should structure it. So I told him, and he was like, "Oh, I love that, Ross. It's awesome." And then he starts building me up. He starts reminding me of all the things that he sees in me. He starts telling me, he's like, "Man, Ross, every time I see you in Los Angeles, because we go to Brendan Burchard's events together each month of the year in Los Angeles, Growth Day Live." He's like, "Every time we're together, every time you speak, man, I hang on every word. I'm so inspired. Like, you're just going to be so amazing. I can't wait to hear your talk." And he's just saying these things to me, and he didn't know it. But I had been so down. I'd been so stressed and overwhelmed, and I was really doubting myself, doubting my own abilities. Could I pull this off? And he was totally helping to squash those negative feelings, those awful voices that I was letting inside my head. So this is the point, is that my friend Grant called out of the blue. I didn't quite know that was exactly what I needed. And I've shared this before, and I'll share it again. Man, if you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, if you're doubting yourself, if you're not sure that you're going to be able to pull something off that you've committed to, that you really want to deliver on, reach out to somebody. Don't stay siloed. Don't isolate yourself. Because if you isolate yourself, you are almost spelling your certain doom. But if you call somebody, if you reach out to someone and you ask for help, or you just get on the phone with someone that you know believes in your potential, they see your talent, they've tried to call things out of you before that you weren't even sure if you believed about yourself. Those are the people that you need to be talking to in those moments. So, continuing with the story here, I go to bed. I got 2 days left, and the 2 days flies by. Thankfully, I get my last day to prep before leaving for Boise, Idaho. Thankfully, I have a sister-in-law who lives close by, and she was willing to actually hang out with my daughter, Georgia, for the day. My daughter got to spend the night over there. Such a godsend. Again, I had help, so I could fully focus on preparing for this talk, preparing for this moment, so I could make sure that I knew I could deliver. Nevertheless, we leave for Boise, Idaho, and I have not practiced my talk at all. Now, keep in mind, every single talk I've ever given before this Boise, Idaho event, anything from a stage, anything that's super official for a mental health conference or anything, I typically memorize the entire thing word for word. Now, that's one way to go about it. I would argue that's not the best thing to do, especially when you have an ADHD brain. Because although memorizing a talk is very impressive, it takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of practice. It also can really throw you off. Because if you forget even one word, you completely lose track of what you're supposed to say next. And instead of just rolling with it, which ADHDers can do so well, right? Our brains are really good at thriving when we have flexibility, thriving when we're thinking on our feet. We thrive when we can just show up and lean into our intuition, trust our gut, and move and act and commit and take the action. That is when ADHD brains absolutely soar. But you have to trust that you can do that. And you have to have enough self-awareness to know, I've done this before. This is how I'm wired. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to have faith that I can show up and that I can over-deliver and not only surprise myself, but surprise everybody else. So, I have not practiced my talk at all. I've just thought about high level, like, okay, the structure, right? Okay, here we go. This story's first. I'm going to have this teaching point, and then I'm going to have this story and this teaching point, right? I'm probably feeling at this point about maybe 80%, 85% confident on the structure of my talk. My intro, my conclusion, 80% confident. So I'm packing up for the airport. And if you have ADHD, what's it like to pack? All right. You know what it's like. It's awful. Packing your bag for a trip is the worst. All right. Being on the trip, great. But packing for a trip, horrible. All right. If you can relate, throw in the comments. Shoot me a DM. Right? Like, how many just not feel alone here? I know I'm not. But when you're packing for a trip, man, it feels like you're trying to summit Mount Everest, right? You're excited for your trip, and you're like, okay, what do I need? I need my toothbrush. I need 6 pairs of clothes, and I don't know. But if you got ADHD, typically we usually believe is better. More socks, more underwear, more swimsuits, more clothes, more outfits, more everything. I always overpack. Always. And it's a problem. But it's me. It's me. But it does create a lot of stress when I'm packing because it's not a simple project. It takes me a lot of time. And I'm constantly being like, do I have everything? Do I have everything? Do I have everything? Smart tip. If you can create a general packing list for yourself, general, high level, like, okay, I always want to bring my shaver. I always want to bring my toothbrush. I always want to bring my meds and my supplements. I always want to bring socks, right? Like just general stuff. It will help you a lot because when you're packing, you can take a look at it and it's okay, right? You can figure out how many pairs of socks you need and all those sorts of things, but you will likely not forget the crucial, most important items if you create that kind of list for yourself and save it in your phone. Save it on your iPad, your computer, right? So you can reference it. Hot tip, okay? You're like, I know, someone's told me that before, but I've never done it. Take 10 minutes today, create that list. It won't take you that long. I've created that list. And sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. That's the thing, you got to remember to use it. So I'm going to the airport. I'm so stressed. I mean, at this point, right, not only am I normally stressed packing, but I'm also thinking about my talk. Is my talk ready? I'm like, my brain's moving 10 million miles an hour. I'm thinking about my talk. I'm getting ideas, more ideas for things I could do in my talk. Oh, maybe I should do this breakout activity. Oh, maybe I should end my talk in this way. Oh, I could start my talk this way. I'm literally thinking about all these things while I'm trying to pack. It made packing go far worse than it normally does. So it's going not well. At this point, I'm throwing things in my bag. I mean, literally just throwing things. Like I'm at this point saying, you know what? More is better. Normally, on a quick trip like this, I'm gone for like a few days. It's all about the carry-on, right? Not this time. Like full size, large bag. I'm on Southwest. Own it, baby. And I'm just stuffing this thing full. I ended up bringing like probably 8 more outfits, 8 more of everything than I actually needed. How many of you have done that before? You get to a vacation, you're like, well, you're packing up to head home after the trip's over. You're like, wow, I literally didn't wear half the things that I packed in my suitcase. And I brought those 4 board games, didn't even use them. But you were prepared, but you were ready. That's my Enneagram 6, wing 7 coming out there. Let me know if you can relate. You know what Enneagram you are? Right? Talking self-awareness. If you're like, what's the Enneagram? Right? Check it out. Check out the Enneagram, right? Check out 16personalities.com. That's one of my personal favorites. If you can start to learn more about yourself, more about who you are, how you're wired, right? Like all of that is going to lead you to better understanding how you show up in different situations. And it's going to breed more confidence. It's going to breed more self-esteem the more that you know yourself. Okay, so a little rabbit trail there. We'll come on back now. Okay, here we go. 20 minutes. We'll wrap this up. This is going to be part 1. We're going to do a part 2 on the next live we'll have on Monday. Maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it a little sooner. I'm excited to share more. So I get to the airport with just enough time to spare. End up finding an amazing parking spot, like, praise the Lord, right? I'm running to my gate. TSA pre-check saved me. I get to the gate on time. I get to the plane on time. It's all good. I can only travel that way when I'm traveling by myself. When I'm traveling with my wife and my daughter, heck no. We got to get there far earlier. If I want to stay married, you know what I'm saying? Because I can handle the stress. Right? It's pumping my head with my brain with dopamine, but it's not necessarily giving my wife the things that she needs. You know what I mean? So I get on the plane, I get up there, I land in Boise, Idaho, I get to my hotel, I'm still feeling stressed, still feeling a little bit like an imposter. Like, gosh, Ross, like, I don't want to let my friend Lisa Bingley down. Like, she has not only chosen me to be her MC, but she's also given me this amazing opportunity to speak, to inspire, to speak from the heart. And I was not feeling ready. So I get there, I find my friend Lisa Bingley, we're checking out the room, and man, this room is huge, huge. Like there was a guy, his name's Oliver. He was another one of the speakers, an insane Google Ads expert. Dude, love this guy. He traveled from Australia to be here. And he walks into this room. It's on, this is Sunday, the day before the event started. He walks in, he's like, whoa, this is literally on par with Google events. Yeah, that just gives you an idea. My friend Lisa Bingley, man, she did not hold back. Like, she pulled out all the stops. She made this thing so special for everyone that attended. Like, it was amazing. It felt like a top shelf event in every way. So I get there. It's just a few of the speakers, Lisa Bingley, the sound tech guys, the video guys, everyone's getting set up. And I sit down at a table, and I'm sitting across from one of the other speakers, a friend of mine, her name's Mim. And Mim is like finishing preparing her slides. So it's starting to make me not feel quite as, I don't feel quite as bad. I'm like, okay, she's still finalizing her talk. That makes me feel a little better. And then I'm thinking in my head, okay, are my outfits okay? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if my outfits are okay. Because here's one of the things I didn't tell you. I had ordered, I thought plenty of time in advance. I went to huckberry.com. By the way, if you have not explored huckberry.com, it is a diamond in the rough, man. Amazing resource for men's clothing. It has nothing to do with ADHD, but just putting a plug out there. Huckberry.com. Amazing men's clothing selection. Check it out. So I order a bunch of blazers from huckberry.com because I'm like, dude, this event's gonna be recorded. Like, I don't have any blazers. I live in Santa Cruz, California, a surf town, okay? It's real hard to find blazers. Most people don't even know what a blazer is here in Santa Cruz, California. And if you're like, what's a blazer? A blazer jacket. You know what I'm talking about? Listen, a lot of people in Santa Cruz are like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of that. Well, Brendan Burchard wears one. Man, like I want to go for the smart, casual look from the stage. Like, I'm pumped on it. So I order these blazers from huckberry.com. They don't show up. They don't show up. Even though I could have paid an extra $15 to get overnight guaranteed 2-day shipping. So I would have had these blazers when I went to Boise, Idaho for the event, and they don't show up because I think, oh, I got plenty of time. I don't need guaranteed 2-day shipping. I'm not paying an extra $15. I learned my lesson. They did not show up, so I had no blazers. So all I brought was jeans, t-shirts. I'm like, man, is that going to be enough? Like, is that going to make me look, am I going to look pro enough? Like, am I going to look like not just like some schlub up there? So I asked my friend Mim, who's preparing for her talk, across the table. We're in the venue the day before the event. And Mim looks at me and says, Ross, what are you worried about? I'm like, I just want to know if I need a blazer. I just feel like I should go find one. She's like, Ross, you just need to be you. So I want to ask you for a minute. Are you being you? What have you been worried about recently? And you've been stressing on the way you're going to look, or you're stressing on how you're coming off. And maybe you need to hear right now, just be you. Just be yourself. Because if you're just being who you are, you're going to have more fun. You're going to be less stressed. And you're going to be more relaxed because you are most comfortable when you are being true to who you are. You're not trying to measure up. You're not trying to please other people. And you're not trying to be something that you're not. So take that in for a second. Drop something in the comments. Tell me, what have you been stressing on recently? Right? Where you were like, gosh, like, I think I need this or need this or need that in order to show up well, in order to please other people, in order to be proud of myself. That's not the whole story. So check yourself. So in that moment, Mim says, just be you. Like, if a t-shirt's you, that's fine. And I looked at my friend Mim and I said, well, Mim, the thing is a blazer jacket, like, that's who I'm moving towards. Like, that's who I'm going to be. Like, that's who I'm growing into. Woo! Right? Okay, now there's nothing wrong with that. Who are you growing into? Who are you growing into being? Right? Like, when you think about leveling up, right? What does the next version of yourself look like? Because if the next version of yourself is simply a improved, refined version of who you truly are, nothing wrong with that. So Mim looks at me across the table and she says, Ross, if that's the case, you need to go find a blazer. So I was like, okay, here we go. So I run out the door. I storm out by myself in Boise, Idaho. I get to the street. I'm like, okay, I need to get an Uber. Where am I going? I don't know where I'm going. Okay, I don't even know what stores are open. So I'm looking on Apple Maps. It's Sunday. It's about 6:40, 6:45. The stores are closed. Nothing's open. Each store I called, the stores that even are open, are like, yeah, like, I don't know if we're going to have what you want. Like, I called a Kohl's and they're like, all we really have are like super fancy suits. Like, it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a blazer jacket that I can wear with a nice pair of jeans. Like, that's what I'm going for. And nowhere's open. I'm starting to lose hope. I'm starting to wonder, like, shoot, maybe I need to give up. Maybe I just need to be okay with the fact that I'm not going to have a blazer for this event. I'm not going to have one. And that's okay. So starting to, like, talk to myself a little different. Yet, I still have hope. I still have hope that I can find one. So I'm looking on Apple Maps. I find a Nordstrom rack. And this Nordstrom rack, it's about 10 minutes away. But at this point, it's 6:57 p.m. They close at 7 p.m. Well, there's no way I'm going to make it. 10 minutes away? So I call the Nordstrom rack and I asked to speak to the manager. And this is where I put my ADHD charm on. And I was like, hey, man, I want to ask for a huge favor. My name's Ross. I just landed from California. I've never been here before. I have a huge event tomorrow that I'm super excited about, yet I really need a blazer. I want to find a blazer. Is there any way you guys can stay? I know it's a huge ask. Can you stay open another 10 minutes? I'll be there in 10 minutes. Can I come in while you guys are closing? Listen, I'll be in and out, man. Like, I'm a stand-up guy. I promise I won't make this a big deal. Is there any way you can help? So I end up getting the Uber because the manager's like, oh, okay, all right. He's like, as long as it's quick. Where does that happen? Where do they allow a customer to call and they're going to allow you to come in after closing? I think only in Boise, Idaho. So props to Boise, Idaho. I take the Uber over there. It's 10 minutes away. I arrive at about 7:10. They close 10 minutes prior. And I get to the front door and there's a guy standing there. He opens the door of the Nordstrom rack and he's like, hey, you the guy from the airport? I was like, yeah. He's like, come on in, brother. Come on in. So I roll in. There's no customers in the store, only employees. How cool is that? And a couple employees are like, hey man, we'll help you out. They take me over. They find something that's in my size. It's this gray jacket. Maybe I'll wear it in the next live just to show you. And this thing fits like it's tailored for me. Like, what? Like, my luck, man. Like, what the heck? Talk about everything working out. So I get this jacket. I get back in an Uber. I head back to the venue. I show up. I show Mim. I show Lisa Bingley. I'm like, what do you guys think? They're like, dang, dude, you're looking official. That looks so good. So now I'm hyped. I got my blazer for the event. The event starts the next day. But I'm still feeling really stressed, really overwhelmed. I don't feel prepared. So I'm going to tell you more in the next live. But for now, we'll cut it short today because I can't do it all in one sitting. Okay, it's too much. But here are the things that I want you to take away from all that. All right. Number one, okay, even if you're making progress, even if you're building momentum, you're starting to get those practices dialed. You're starting to get those habits dialed in, right? One step at a time, one day at a time. You can still feel really stressed and really overwhelmed. And there's nothing wrong with you if that's the case, especially if it's a huge project, a big milestone, a huge event. Okay, and you're doing it last minute. You're preparing last minute. As many of us with ADHD, we're prone to do. So you're not crazy. You're not alone in those situations. And don't stay siloed. Call a friend. All right? And you never know, a friend might just call you. But reach out to someone who believes in you, to someone who sees your potential, who sees your talents, and they want to call those things out of you, right? Like, call that person, right? Allow them to build you up. Allow them to quiet those voices that are tearing you down. And then the third point is, if your intuition, if your gut is telling you something, don't ignore it. My intuition and my gut was saying, I need a blazer. I tried ordering them from huckberry.com. They didn't arrive in time. So both options would have been fine, okay? There's never a wrong choice. That's the other thing. There is never a wrong choice. We often get so paralyzed thinking, am I making the right choice? Who's to say? Who's to say what the right choice is? There is no supreme authority on earth who can ever Analyze your life and your situation and say, yeah, that was the wrong choice. That was the right choice. Now, listen, there are some obvious wrong choices, okay? And that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. But I'm talking about when you have choices and it's not clear if one's the right or wrong choice, the only right choice is the one that you make, the one that you choose. You grab it, you take it in, and you stay confident and you move forward. So in that moment, my gut, my intuition was telling me, I need a blazer. Like, this is a big moment. Like, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm growing into this next level. And at my next level, I'm wearing a blazer. And luckily I talked to a friend and they confirmed that. They're like, and you need to go find one. Didn't look like it was possible. Anyone else in that situation would have been like, oh, dude, everything's closed, man. You're not going to be able to find one. And yet I found one. I found a way. If you have ADHD, you are so good. You are so good about not giving up. We're relentless. When people say, oh, dude, it's not going to work, man, that's when we lean in and go, no. I'm going to figure this out. No, I'm going to figure this out. And people often get irritated with that because they've already decided, nah, man, like, we need to give up. It's not going to happen. But remember, the best of who you are, you don't give up until truly you've run out of gas. But unless there absolutely is no option, unless you have tried all things, lean into that. Follow your intuition. Follow your gut instinct. Listen to friends. Listen to people in your life who you know have your best interest at heart. And then move forward accordingly. Okay, so part 2 of my story of the event is filled with more drama and more stress and more jaw-dropping moments. It was what I'm going to share with you in part 2 was a defining moment of my life. It was a demarcation line. This was an inflection point. I know. I got you on a cliffhanger. So stay tuned for my next live, which is probably going to be on Monday, same time, same place. But who knows, if I get real excited and I can't wait to share more, I may just have to tell you sooner. I may just go live maybe tomorrow. I'll surprise you, or Sunday. I don't know. But at this point, Monday. Okay? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Listen, if you're enjoying this, if you're just appreciating this energy, if this is lighting you up, if this is giving you some insights, some hope, if this is just making you feel less alone, less crazy, please, let's stay connected. Okay? The best way to do that is to head to my webpage, rossleuthborough.com or heroicadhd.com. And you can sign up right there to get on my email list. I have a little freebie for you. We'll stay connected. Would love to continue just dropping insights and knowledge and stories and hope and inspiration and encouragement in your ears so you can continue on your ADHD journey with strength, with endurance, with certainty that just because you're facing adversity doesn't mean your story's over. In fact, it's just beginning, okay? And if you're thinking about, hey, like, gosh, this guy, what I usually hear is this guy's energy is insane. Like, I wish I could get more of this. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I'm a coach. I got a couple opening spots right now to work with me one-on-one. And if you're at all interested in that, you want to make that investment, all right, in yourself, in your life. You're ready to do the work? Let's get on a call, a free strategy coaching call. All you got to do is head to my website, rossleuthborough.com, heroicadhd.com, either one, and you'll see the links there. You can fill out my coaching form. fill out my coaching form. That's how I know that you thought about this. Like, you're serious. You're committed. Like, you're ready to do the work. You're ready to commit to yourself. You're ready for that next level. Fill out the coaching form, and then I will schedule a time for our 60-minute free strategy session call. All right? Take advantage. What are you waiting for? The time is right now. Okay? Seize the moment. Seize the opportunity. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Any questions here? I got Alejandra over on Instagram. Hey, Alejandra. Thank you so much for showing up. Appreciate you sending some love. You're awesome. I have Tyresha. Tyresha's here. What's up, Tyresha? I got my brother Nate, Nicoletta, Misha, Kitra. Dude. Got Rhonda, Garrett, J Cruz 145. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for the love. Let's see. Who else we got? Who else needs a shout out here? Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, looks like that's it for today. Okay. I love y'all. Remember, you're stronger than your brain, than your mind likes to lead you to believe. There's more inside of you. There's so much more potential waiting to be unlocked. Okay. Till next time, have an amazing weekend. Rest up, spend some time with people you love, and do some things that are just fun for no other outcome than just it being fun. Give yourself that gift. Okay. I'll see you in a couple days. Bye, y'all.